Hey guys, it's Jess and I am so excited to be sharing my very first design team project for Maymay Made It. Today I am going to be doing an ink blended background. You can see my hand moving at warp speed. I did speed up the blending process a little bit because it gets a little bit tedious, but I did want you guys to be able to see me blend that background. Now this is the second time I made this card. I made it once when I took my photographs of it and then I made it again for the video. So there are slight differences in this card versus the card that is photographed, and that's just because I made it twice and no two cards are ever the same. Also, you will see me make a huge oops on this second card. Towards the end, I saved it a little bit, but you can definitely still see my so I'm glad that I had two of this card, and we all make mistakes, so that's okay. So what I'm doing here is I did my ink blending. I decided not to use any water on the background because I really liked that smooth blend that I got. I'm using the stamp set from Maymay Made It called Vinnie's Fave. I love the silhouette images in this, and I'm using my original size MISTI to help me with the placement because I am rotten at getting things stamped in the same place more than once, and especially with a silhouette image, you do want to be sure you can re-stamp it if needed if you don't get a perfect stamp the first time. So I'm using some black ink from Versafine. It's called Onyx Black, and I really like this for dark or sentiment stamping because it is so dark and crisp. I really like the results that I get with it. But you can see even with this ink, I am going back in and stamping it one more time. That's the beauty of the MISTI or the mini MISTI. I use both in this video, but you can definitely get those nice crisp results. Look how dark black that is. It's amazing. Okay, so now I've just got a stamp block, like a tiny little acrylic block, and I'm using that same ink to apply the branches. Now I did make an in my placement. This isn't the big that I was talking about, but it is an nonetheless. That lower branch on the middle tree actually interferes later with where I wanted to put my bear. I wasn't thinking about it when I went to go and stamp all of that on there this time, and I stamped it right where the little bear's head needed to go. But that is okay. So what I'm doing here is just adding, there are a few different little branch images in the set, and I am combining them in different ways, in different directions, flipping some of them upside down, doubling up some of them so that I use more than one on a single branch just for a little bit of added interest. And this is creating a background for my card. So what I'm doing is kind of creating like a sunset sort of vibe card with the woodsy, wintry sort of feel to it. So I'm stamping that hawk up in the sky. I love the way that it looks like it's mid-flight, like it's flying down to catch something. And then I'm also going to be stamping a few birds on some of the random branches. And this set also has a few birds facing different directions and doing sort of different poses, and I really like the versatility of it because you get that difference in the way they look. They don't all look identical. I really like that. Okay, so here you can see my little bear. I thought this was all going to work out and it was going to be great. However, when I realized that I needed to put my sentiment on, things got a little dicey. So I'm trimming my paper down because I wanted to have a white mat around my card base. So I trimmed down my card front to 4 by 5 1/4, and I just used my paper trimmer for that. And this is where I got into trouble with the bear because I trimmed off at the bottom, and then it turns out that there wasn't enough room for him to stand on the ground without getting his head in the branch with the bird. But that's okay. I just kind of worked around it. So I lined up my black paper. I just hand cut that at an angle. It's not the same as the first one I did, but I just kind of wanted it to be random. I don't know. So I used Mandy's Tulips for my sentiment. I used the one that says with sympathy because I thought it went really well with this sunset sort of background. I like the way that that turned out. I'm using my mini MISTI this time, holding it in place with that bar magnet. I'm going to ink it up with some Brutus Monroe embossing ink. First I used my anti-static powder tool just to make sure I didn't get any stray embossing powder where I didn't want it. Like I said, use that embossing ink to ink up my stamp, and then now I'm going to use some Brutus Monroe Alabaster embossing powder to heat set it, and use my Wagner heat tool for that as well. I really like the crisp look that this gives with like the vibrant white against the dark black. I thought it popped really nicely, and it makes it the focal point of the card without being distracting. I wanted this card to be really simple. I didn't want it to be overwhelming or have too much going on, because it is a sympathy card after all, and sometimes less is more when it comes to sympathy cards. If you guys follow me already, you will know that it is really difficult for me not to add sequins, and I didn't add any to this card, so that was kind of like a event to celebrate all on its own. Okay, so you can see that my bear's head is like lost in the tree a little bit, and I'm okay with that because I wanted this to look more natural, and not every shot of everything is going to be perfect. There you can see my big oops, and then I made it worse by trying to blot it up. What I did, you can see I kind of fixed it. I did this off camera because I wasn't sure what I was even going to do to fix it. But what I did is I took a mono eraser, I erased it. It did take off quite a bit of my ink, so I just went back in and ink blended it. But you can see in the center there, it's a little dirty looking, and that's just because of my oops. It's not the end of the world, but I can definitely notice it, and that always bothers me. But that is the card all finished. You can see them side by side. They are not identical, but that's okay. And here's a shot of the card when I photographed it. If you are new to my channel, please be sure to subscribe. If you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. Here is some more inspiration in case you want to stick around and keep watching videos. And I will see you guys all again really soon in another video. Hugs and love. Bye.